Hi, this video is going to be on divination tools and specifically the tarot cards, since I have some experience with tarot cards, and how to make spiritual progress by using divination tools and how do these things work anyway. So I'm going to try to give you an explanation for this. Okay, first of all, my background is that I just picked up these cards like many years ago, just as kind of like a party trick, you know, just an interesting thing to please people. And I learned concurrently just, you know, the art of cold reading, which is basically you learn to fortune tell, but it's not fortune telling. What you're doing is just learning stock phrases that seem true to everybody, and there's various ways to cold read, but just accept that it's not fortune telling per se. I never thought I would be fortune telling with cards, and so I just wanted to pick a prop. So I picked the tarot cards as the prop for my cold reading, my fortune telling gig, but the cards themselves have built within, you know, a certain method. So I started to learn the method of the cards, you know, to make it all look quite convincing. And my background is economics. I have an economics degree from university, and most of that is dealing with statistical modeling. Okay, so I took a lot of high-level statistic courses, and you see, it comes into play because when I started playing around with the cards and doing draws and, you know, setting up the ritual and telling people's fortunes, I noticed a lot of statistical anomalies, things that had no, you know, weren't random draw events. Just for example, like I would read give some cards to a person, but then I would reshuffle the deck, and when I redrew, the same cards would come out. And you think, well, that might happen once in a while, you know, but it was just happening all the time, and so it was such low odds that it just, like, the flags just went straight up. I'm like, what? I couldn't understand why it was happening, and it was flummoxed, or my brain was melting. And I looked on the internet, and there was this math professor who had written something about having the same type of results when he was reading the cards with his wife, and he couldn't figure it out either. So, but you can look at the cards, and they represent, each of the cards represents some sort of archetypal experience in one's life. So they themselves, these cards, are a type of spiritual trip. They basically describe the fool's journey up to, you know, enlightenment. That's the whole point of these cards, sort of to draw you into the spiritual path themselves, just by the diagrams. Even though people, your regular people, we ask them questions about love and money and health and things like that, but you can look at the cards, they have all this hermetic and ancient Egyptian symbology to them. You can see, whoa, you know, there's something very, very spiritual about the cards themselves, and that's called a pentacle. You just, like, have an entire system within one, you know, sort of deck of cards, or one sort of mandala or something like that. So how do they work? Well, you have to understand, first of all, that we are all one. I mean, we're all connected by some inner energy, or we are completely permeated. We are this energy. And that can just be understood by, okay, we are individuals, me, you know, the person down the street. But if you look, well, you know, from way up in space down at Earth, you can just say, well, it's just one globe, one ball, and you can see the energies sort of flowing in it. And you can imagine there's different parts, but it doesn't seem all that spectacularly important, since everybody's breathing the same air, and everybody's, you know, deriving the same sort of nutrients from the globe we call Earth. And so the solar system can be described in the same way as one in the universe too, and it just gets bigger and bigger until you can just sit and say, okay, everything is one thing. It's just one entity, and you can personify that and say, well, that's God, you know. But I want to sort of stay away from personifications, you know, because you get kind of lost that way. But so how does that make any difference with tarot cards? Well, see, this oneness energy has a couple of traits to it. It wants us to evolve. It wants to evolve. You've heard of the evolving universe, but it not only just the universe, but it wants its separate parts to evolve as well. So every animal is evolving in some way. But there's a more sort of I don't know, high level evolution, so we can become enlightened. So we evolve to the point where we can perceive the oneness. So the universe itself is sort of wants you to evolve to the point where you can perceive the oneness as it perceives itself. So how does that have anything to do with tarot cards? Well, you see, it also has the trait of cooperation. It also has the trait that, you know, everything hangs together, everything's sort of working together, and we translate that in our bodies sometimes as love and compassion. So that's how we kind of feel that trait, that universal trait. You heard of God as love, so that's sort of like, that's that feeling, that trait, that aspect of the universe. So while the universe wants us to feel love, and it wants us to evolve, we have our own separate kind of, you know, egotistical goals. And while we're pursuing our egotistical goals, it can kind of nudge and sort of help us in the right directions, right? It wants us to help more and more. And the way you allow the universe to help yourself more and more is to just sort of surrender to that energy, surrender to the sort of randomness of the way things go. And you meet sort of people who are really tuned into that type of flow, and they're always telling you stories. I'm not sure if you know people like this, but they're telling them stories. Oh, I was looking for a job, and then I just got lost in the city, and I was so lost, and then I asked somebody, and they, you know, on the street, and they gave me a job, and now, you know, and now I found an apartment, and I was, you know, it's something like that, you know. I mean, these are not people who are like Bill Gatesian doing spectacularly well in life, but they just sort of have that flow, and they seem to be very happy, and they're very happy to talk about it as well. So they have that feeling of kind of letting themselves into the randomness. Well, still better than that is this tarot cards, because, or any sort of divination system, is because it has randomness built right into it. It's drawing. I mean, you're drawing a random group of cards. So if you want, you can actually kind of tap, you know, you use the ritual, and the ritual is nothing more than just saying to the universe, game on, you know, okay, here's where we start. And then and since, you know, it's just being done again and again, you know, it will recognize through the ritual what you're doing. So you can ask questions, and it can be mundane questions, you know, about health and love and things like that. So you're kind of hijacking the process. But where it really stands out is where you ask about spiritual things, you know. So anything related to spirituality, you can be the querent. You ask the cards, you know, and you can receive a pretty good answer. One of the best things to use the cards for is when you have doubts or sort of undecided about a certain teacher, because there's a lot of teachers out in internet land, and, you know, you might hear about a seminar or something like that coming to a city near you, and you have to fork out money and time and effort, and you want to know whether this teacher might be worthwhile or a complete fraud, or, you know. So, or you can learn something from the teacher nevertheless, you know, as many of them are sort of like borderline, I suppose. But so you can just draw the card and just say, oh, that teacher is how is that? So I'm going to shuffle the deck. So that's my blurb on tarot cards, and I'm going to shuffle the deck right now, just for myself, just to see if if you know what I said to you was accurate or not. I'm just going to ask the universe. Did I you know, give an accurate type of portrayal of what these cards mean and how they can help you? So I don't know. It's like, it really is like I'm just picking anything, even though I can't shuffle. Okay, King of Swords. See, that means wisdom. I mean, that the King of Swords is a very, very favorable card. It's just logic and wisdom just cutting through. And you know, I'm not saying I'm the King of Swords, but you know, this is a pretty good video.